Hello, everybody. I'm Matt Taylor, and welcome to Spitballin'. My good buddy Kyle Amundsen is absent today, but I have in their house Trevor, Kruse on the end there, and Chris Smith. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Yeah, good.
Good. Now remember, you got to talk into your microphone.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Right, or I will scold you.
Amateurs.
Yes. So you guys are starting a new place in downtown Brainerd here called Minnesota Makerspace. Makerspace.
Yep. That's good.
Close enough.
Same thing.
Same thing. Same place.
Makers
Make it
Space.
Makerspace.
Huh.
One word. Makerspace.
Makerspace. Yeah.
Yep.
So tell me about how this thing all started. I know that you guys were involved in that contest, right?
Yeah, so Destination Downtown was going on, and basically Trevor and I were both kind of in between jobs and kind of reached out to him like, hey, should we go for this? You never know what will happen. And a couple months went by, or maybe a month. It felt like forever, but all of a sudden Trevor calls me up and like, dude, we made it. And I was like, made it to what? And
Yeah.
he got a call for the Chamber of Commerce, was it?
Yeah, so Matt from Chamber of Commerce called me and said that we made it into the final round. Well, not final round, but the top 10.
Okay.
And then we had to go through a bunch of other stuff and go in front of judges.
So what is it? It's a contest.
Yep.
And how do you enter? Like I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, so basically there was a form online that you had to fill out, or it had a questionnaire, like 6 questions or something, and basically your business idea, like why you think it's unique for a downtown area.
Okay.
And how it would help revitalize downtown, basically. So there were 10 out of 70 people.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we were in the top 10 out of 70, and then from there we had to give like a Shark Tank style presentation to a board of like executives and random different. I think Patrick from Jack Pine Brewery was there.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Christy from CTC,
Cool.
CEO, and just like random people like that.
So you pitch them your idea, and then they pick 10 people to go do the Shark Tank thing.
Yep.
And then what happens after that? If you do they just choose?
Yeah, well, not this time. Typically, the first 2 they did. Normally, the judges would pick.
Okay.
Unfortunately for us this year, it went to online voting.
Sons of bitches.
Yeah, it was rigged.
Then it's a popularity contest, which is a different thing altogether.
Yeah, especially because this year we were up against 2 already established businesses. So
Okay. Who are they?
The Crowing, or the food co-op, not a crow. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Crowing
Co-op.
Food.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And then
Let's talk shit about
Lloyd-
them real quick. So, no, I'm just kidding. Okay.
And then Lloyd Oils and Vinegars,
Okay.
which
So,
already has one in Nisswa, Walker, and Cross Lake, maybe.
so you guys were a completely new concept, and you're going against these established ones. Who actually ended up winning it?
Food.
The co-op?
Yep.
Fuck those guys. No, I'm just kidding. The co-op's a great place,
they're great.
and that's great
Yeah.
that they did that. But you give me your Shark Tank pitch. What is this fucking thing?
You want to start?
Yeah, so I mean, so a makerspace is not really a new idea.
It's a maker's place. No, I'm just
sorry,
kidding. Okay,
maker's
maker's
place.
space. Maker's space.
There we
Yes.
go. We'll just start a new thing.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of them around the United States, and usually what it is it's a space that you have tools and equipment that you can use, kind of like a gym membership. You pay a monthly fee, and you get access to all these tools and stuff. Naturally, they don't have like the classes we're going to and the retail front. It's usually
Okay.
just a space.
Okay.
But like there's some around Duluth, there's some in Minneapolis. So it's not like a whole new idea. We're just kind of taking it in a different direction than a normal makerspace.
So, did you have to like sign on to Makerspace? Is there some kind of, is that like a?
No, it's just like a movement, basically the maker movement, getting people to make things with their hands again.
Right.
The whole DIY thing, and essentially, like he was saying, the only thing different, most makerspaces kind of go towards the industrial stuff.
Okay,
Doing
right.
metal work and stuff. Obviously, in downtown setting, that's not as possible.
Sure.
But that's where we kind of want to focus more on the DIY, Pinteresty kind of stuff to start off with.
Okay.
And then the goal is kind of branch into the industrial stuff.
Okay.
And, we'd have to move out of the downtown area, but
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, and then doing technology stuff and getting kids like into programming and robotics and just, I mean, getting people in general just to the whole do-it-yourself thing, because I mean, both me and Chris feel like that people aren't so enthused to create things or try to fix things themselves nowadays, which is crazy because you have YouTube, you have all this stuff where it's tons of resources. I mean, if something's broken, most likely it's happened to someone else, and they've made a YouTube video about it.
Like last winter, it was actually right about this time because it was when it was like that 50 below.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And I had just bought this PT Cruiser, just, kind of I needed a car for the winter that had a heater. Yeah. It was a beater with a heater. And that night when it was 50 below, my timing belt snapped because it was so cold.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit! I brought it in. They were like, oh, it's gonna be like $2,000, And I'm like, I paid $700 for this piece of shit. I'm not paying $2,000 to put in a fucking timing belt. So I was like, what am I? So I got on YouTube and I started looking it up, and I watched, I watched probably a 4-hour video where this guy like meticulously went step by step. And I ordered a belt off Amazon for $60, and I started at about 4:00 one night, and I got done about 8:30 the next day, and just went straight through, and I got that son of a bitch done, and it worked for at least like 3 weeks after that. It was a $700 car. What do you want?
Yeah.
But it got me through. It got me through the next couple months, and the timing belt was fine. Just everything else fell apart on it. I mean, like the wheel fell off and shit. But what do you do? But yeah, so I hear what you're saying. Like at this time. With the YouTube and the internet the way that it is, there's really no excuse to not be able to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
One thing that I think holds people up though is access to tools.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Which this can kind of like help alleviate.
Fills
that.
the void of especially if you have one project where you might only need a tool for one quick moment.
Right.
You wouldn't go buy it.
Right.
So
I do because I'm an idiot. But right.
Well, you might do a lot more.
Right. But I hear it. I whenever I end up into a project where I like need a new tool, I'm always like, all right, I gotta go get a new tool. Fuck, I guess I gotta have that. Yeah. And then it sits there and does nothing.
Yeah. Or you lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's
Whatever happened to that? Buy another one.
So, tell me how this then works, at least in your vision. I know that you guys are still obviously in the middle of construction here, but like, how do me and all my buddies like sign up and become members and get access to that badass CNC router?
Yeah. Good. Okay. So basically, we're gonna have 3 tiers. $100 a month, you get unlimited access to it.
So it's like an Anytime Fitness.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like a key card, $100 a month.
Yep. And then there'll be another tier down, $50 a month, and it'd be 20 hours of access, tool time.
Oh, and is that anytime as well?
Yeah, within our.
Well, I guess So
hours.
like, it's not like any time where we're going to be open 24/7
because there's people living above us.
Yeah. So we have some.
We
restrictions.
gotta fucking get rid of those people.
Gotta get them out. No.
So what? Okay, that's an important.
Yes.
That's important because that is one of the things because I'm a night guy, man. I'm always so it's not uncommon for me to be like running a table saw at 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
Probably doesn't jive with the upstairs.
Yeah, so we're aiming for 9 to 9.
9 to 9. Okay, that's decent.
So it's a little bit later, but not as late as some people would want. But
now, obviously, you two can't work 12-hour days. 7 days a week. So well, I mean, I've opened a few businesses. I guess you can. It's just not very healthy.
Yeah.
How are you? Is it going to be staffed the full time?
That's where we're kind of looking for volunteers and stuff to hopefully trade maybe a membership for. If someone was interested, definitely reach out. We're looking for more of a advanced user, someone that could really help people use the tools if they have questions. But by volunteering, we'd X amount of hours. We're still gonna have to discuss the exact amount.
Right.
But then we'd trade a free membership for that.
Okay, interesting. And then as far as the tools go, I want to talk about the tools that you have, but also how, like somebody's gonna be here to, okay. You guys got this fucking CNC router, right?
Yeah.
It's a beaut. I just checked it out. I like it. And homie wants to play with that. So, I don't know how to use a CNC router.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. So the goal is when we get it running fully ourselves.
Once we figure this
thing out, then we share it with everyone else. But we're gonna have this knowledge space online. So as a member, you can log on to our website, and we'll have a knowledge space where you can kind of go through all the tools in our space.
Okay.
And then we'll either link to other people's YouTube videos or our own that we'll create to walk through the tools in our shop.
specific tools. Yep.
Okay, that's very cool. That's very cool.
Yeah, then we'll also, on top of that, like the classes we're going to have, like building certain things, we'll have and like instructional videos on how to build that particular object that we're doing as well.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. So yeah, because I did see that you guys have projects that you're gonna, like I think there was like making a like a
like
box.
a mason jar
Yeah.
centerpiece thing.
Yeah.
Yep,
like the
super basic stuff.
Pinteresty stuff to start off with, and then as people get more comfortable with the DIY classes, we want to make it more advanced and maybe start throwing technology in there with like
Yep.
Raspberry Pis and stuff like that.
Cool.
Some
Yeah,
electronics
3D.
on.
We're gonna do 3D printing classes because my background's in technology, so I have a 3D printer.
So there's going to be a 3D printer.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, we'll have 2 of them actually.
Eventually an army.
Yeah, hopefully,
Oh.
hopefully a bunch of them. Just printing a bunch of random stuff off all the time.
Yeah.
Because we actually we used my printer to print a dust boot for our CNC.
Okay.
So you can buy them online for like $100, but there's this website called Thinkverse, and you can download files that people have already created.
Okay.
And so we got literally a dust boot that works with our CNC and printed it off. I mean, it takes 20 hours.
Right.
But I mean, it's
A
might as
dollar,
well.
a
Yeah.
dollar of plastic, basically.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering. So, because like that's the big thing with the 3D printers is that they take a long
time,
time
yeah.
to build on that. But so there would just be a queue, I'm assuming. And,
Yep,
You know,
yep.
you've gotten. I'm on the queue. I get to.
Yep, I'm next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as you grow and get more, then you can
Yeah.
just have an army of them.
Yep. Yeah, and they're
That's-
fairly cheap. Like the Ender is like a couple $100.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ender 3. So
Yeah. I know I've been me and my kid
Looking at
are yeah, but it's like God damn it, it's another thing that I think I'll get
Yeah.
to make one thing and then not really.
See, that's
you
what
know?
my fiance said. She's like, "Why do you want that? I mean, you're gonna print like 3 things with it and never do it again." But I print stuff all the
Do you?
time. I do all. It's
Interesting.
crazy the stuff that you can find online, like little keyboard feet.
yeah, I was gonna say that's
I mean,
one thing I
it's-
always go back to. Is
Right.
I
It's
went
just-
over to his house one night and I was like, "Hey, dude, my foot broke off of my keyboard. We're gonna do some like PC gaming," and he's like, "I bet you it's on Thingiverse." Found it like within
Yeah.
2 minutes and then printed one out and fixed my keyboard.
I mean, it's nuts
Oh.
the little objects that you can find. I mean, you actually start thinking like, oh, I could probably 3D print that and like design it and CAD it out. And I mean, it's pretty fun.
Huh.
Yeah.
Good. I'm super excited about that. I've always wanted to like get into 3D printing, and but it's just always been one of those things.
Yep.
Huh. I'm interested in. So I've my background. My background is crazy, but I when I was 17 years old, I apprenticed to a swordsmith.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, that was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. But I did, and it didn't really work out. He ended up kind of being a criminal, and it ended up ending.
Oh, he's a swordsmith.
He was a swordsmith. Yeah, he was in. He had
So
some
crime
deal
with
with
the
some.
sword.
He had some deal with some apprentices in Mexico, and he was smuggling. He was like smuggling shit across the border, I guess.
Swords.
Anyway, so after the cops showed up and I had to leave, but I mean, I only was there for like 4 months, but when I was 17, but I just got really interested in, making weapons essentially. And I've always thought that 3D printing would be really cool to do some lost wax casting with,
okay. Yeah.
so you can, because you basically, doesn't really matter if it's plastic or, because you're burning it out in the,
Sure.
in the kiln and all that. So, yeah, that might be interesting. You guys are you going to have any of the kilns or any of that stuff?
Not right away, but I definitely saw Adam Savage's YouTube series where he's going around all the makerspaces, and that was the first time I saw that lost wax casting.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, holy moly, that's
Yeah,
sweet.
that's a whole nother
Yeah.
world.
So I want to do
Yeah.
that, but I know we'd have to look into the hood exhaust vent and all that kind of stuff,
Right.
which get a little spendy, but
Right. Yeah, for sure.
depends on
Yeah.
how many donations our viewers want to give us.
Right. Well,
we
we're
can
going
get
to
stuff
talk.
like
We're
that.
definitely going to
Yeah.
talk about that. This is a for-profit organization, however, right?
Yep.
So you're
Correct.
not a nonprofit. So
Correct.
well, yeah. Let's talk about it right now. So,
Yeah.
since you brought it up, I mean,
Yeah.
it's organic. So obviously, people can support you guys.
Yeah.
Right. How would they go about doing it?
Well, we have merch on our website.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So you're selling those T-shirts.
Yep.
Yep.
And
We got hats, aprons, beanies,
Yeah.
pop sockets.
We
Pretty
have-
much anything he can make at an apparel store, we can
Yeah.
Huh.
put our name on it.
We also
Awesome.
have a phone number if you want to call us and meet us in person and hand us cold hard cash.
you will take the cold hard
Oh,
cash.
sure.
What about donations as far as like equipment goes.
Absolutely. Like, we'd be interested at least to hear what it
Yeah.
was. And
Right,
make
because
sure
you
it
don't
fit the
want
space
you
and
don't
stuff.
want to be like, hey, we'll take any tool you got, and then
Yeah.
people are dumping off their like 400-year-old radial arm saw that
Yeah.
everybody needs 10 of.
Yeah.
But if somebody has a cool piece of equipment that they just don't have a use for anymore,
Yeah.
is that something that you guys would be interested in taking off their hands?
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
And they
we'd
could
probably
pay you
even-
to take it off their hands?
I mean, yeah. Or the
Yeah.
other way around. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah, I mean, we're willing to pay too for certain things.
Right.
We'd obviously want to assess the equipment, maybe meet up and see it, but we want to see this thing grow. I mean, we're a little limited on space in there, but
Right,
so it can't be anything too big. But as we grow, who knows?
right.
Yeah, and I mean, the beauty of the Makerspace is it's going to be what kind of members want to. So if there's a particular tool that a lot of members want,
Right.
then we're probably going to focus to buy that tool. So the idea behind, because most Makerspaces aren't for profit. They're usually nonprofit
Right.
kind of things. But our idea behind it was that if we can make money, we can put more money back into it and kind of just keep circling things out so we can do the retail front and stuff like
Right.
that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because I do know that most of them are nonprofit, and I wondered why you guys didn't go that
Yeah.
route. Because it limits you in the sense that you can't apply for grants. then.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, we technically can still apply for grants, but it has to be through a different channel, basically.
Okay.
But I know one thing when we were interviewing other makerspaces, they were talking about nonprofits actually being less safe because
Okay.
you're relying on volunteers that aren't getting paid to maintain the shop. You really rely on that kind of aspect. So not only for safety, but then also by being a for-profit, we can kind of amp up the retail space and do marketing and stuff like that as well to sell members' items because they're going to
Sure.
consign through our shop.
Sure. And at some point, there's probably an opportunity to you can have a for-profit and a nonprofit organization
Yeah.
that work hand in hand.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So what happens when I cut my fucking hand off on that Ryobi chop saw over there?
So, I mean, we have insurance and all that stuff, but there is waivers when we do our memberships. I mean,
Mhm.
there's always safety is obviously a big thing, and that's what we got asked a lot from the judges.
Right.
And so to combat that, we're developing like an RFID technology. It's not really a technology, but it's just where we can control our equipment with RFID tags. So let's say you're a member, right, and
Right.
you haven't done like a training on the table,
Right,
so
okay.
you can't turn it on.
Okay.
Well, you can turn it on, but there's no power being granted to it. So we have the RFID checks our database and then sees if you
Are certified.
Yep,
Yeah.
pretty
On the
much.
table, so.
Taking a test, and then it grants power to the machine. And so we're doing that with a majority of our tools for safety and then also for like logistics and data gathering.
Interesting, okay.
Just to see which tools are being used a lot, so then we can either buy more tools, do maintenance cycles, stuff like
Yep.
that.
Or nobody's touched the
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah,
in
get rid of it.
forever. Let's
Yep.
get rid of that or store it until it's needed.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
So yeah, the big thing is getting people trained, and so that's why with like if you become a member, there's an orientation. So
Right.
then we kind of show you the tools, and then on our website we have trainings, and there might be in-person trainings. I mean, obviously it's not going to be like this 100-point quiz, but just basic dummy questions
Right.
to make people understand. I mean, yeah, that's a big thing is
Yeah.
safety and
For sure.
Yeah.
Right. So I work with a lot of youth, and a lot of youth like that don't have much. They don't have access to anything.
Sure. Yep.
And a lot of times not even. I mean, they don't even do shop class anymore, right? It's gone, right?
Yeah.
So like, you guys are going to be offering some actual classes as well, right? Or
Yes.
people you can you don't have to be a member.
Nope.
But you get a group of people together and you
Yeah.
want to like learn how to make a birdhouse or
Yeah, exactly.
or 3D print something
Yep.
or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we want to do our classes are really just going to vary on what our customers want, and then I mean, if we have a teacher that knows how to teach a particular thing or wants to share their trait, then they can come in and teach that and do a class on it. I mean,
Cool.
so it's
Yeah.
going to be super organic. I mean, it's not like we have this set things that we're going to do. I mean, obviously we're going to have like basic
Course.
woodworking stuff that we're going to be constantly doing, stuff like that. But like I know I want to do like a 3D printer class.
Right.
Even if it's like, everyone buys like a 3D printer and then you build it and then print on it, just because I know that's like a big thing.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea. So it's like bring your own 3D printer.
Yeah, like, I mean.
But then you learn in the
BYO
class how to.
So like with my Ender, you have to put it together, which is, it can be like an hour process, and it's, it's finicky and it has to be done correctly or you get weird prints.
Okay.
But then if you have someone there kind of mentoring you, then it's not so scary to go out, and spend $200-$300 on something.
Right.
Yeah. And so that would potentially be a class. I mean, we're going to have like kid classes, we're like programming and stuff like that too.
So I'm really into EV foam cosplay armor making.
Oh, okay.
I know it's super fucking geeky. All right.
Hey, whatever gets you off.
Well, I mean, okay, yeah. I mean, okay, maybe I wear the Mandalorian mask.
Yeah.
But whatever. You guys. Yeah, I know you're in Star Wars, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But you guys watch Mandalorian?
I watched it as long as my trial existed.
What?
For Disney. Yeah.
Oh, I suppose you're starting a new business.
Yeah.
Save your money.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Though it's super good. But anyway, when the Mandalorian came out, I had I'm making Kyle and
Yeah.
and I both like complete suits of Mandalorian
Cool.
armor
That's
because
awesome.
you just gotta do it.
Yeah.
But I thought that would be a really fun
Yeah.
one to do a class on sometime because it's really cheap. Like
Yeah.
if somebody wants to get into doing making cosplay armor, I mean, like literally, all you really need is a little glue and a sharp X-Acto knife and some time and talent. So
Yep.
it's not so hard.
Yep.
And so you don't have a lot of tools. So I just thought that would always be a fun one to do.
Yeah, that'd be super cool.
Yeah, that's a good idea because I know a lot of people make cosplay stuff with 3D printers too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and to marry some of those technologies.
Yeah.
Well, as I just mentioned, I just bought this
Cricket.
Cricket. It's called a Cricket, not a Cure Cut,
Cry
not
Cut.
a Cry Cut, not a. It's a stupid fucking name, but what is that? Why Cricket? Like like
Oh.
it's
Only
that
pun
fucking
they-
thing you
yeah.
can't find in your basement when you're it makes you driving you insane
The
with
only word they
rage.
could find with the word cut in it. Maybe.
Oh,
I don't know.
that might be it. Well, anyway, I bought one of these things just to make some T-shirts for Kyle and I for the podcast, just to fuck around with, and then I found out how awesome that thing is, and you
Oh,
can
yeah.
do all sorts of crazy stuff. But it'll also even cut EV foam,
Okay.
thin EV foam, so like so it starts mixing different parts, different technology, like adding in 3D printed stuff. That would be very, very cool.
Yeah, and then we'll actually have a pretty big laser here too.
Yeah.
And I'm
So
pretty sure you can
okay.
cut through
So I
some,
want to
yeah.
talk about So let's talk about that next. So what?
Yeah.
And I know you probably don't know everything that you're going to have at this
Yeah.
point, but what do you think? What are you going to have?
As far as the workshop, I think the laser is probably going to be one of the most used items, not only by us personally for retail products, business to business stuff, but by the members because it's just a cool item that you could do
It's a laser.
so much with. Who doesn't like laser beams?
So it's a laser engraver. So you'd be able to engrave
Wood, acrylic. What we'll probably do a lot here is like mugs. You could do like
Okay.
those tumblers that are powder
Yep.
coated.
Yep.
Goes on a stainless steel. There's stuff like sprays you could put on metal and it'll mark it. And
Okay.
Like leave it black or whatever color. But then the one we're getting is actually pretty powerful and should be able to cut up to 3/4 inch acrylic and some
Okay.
pretty thick wood.
Okay. Yeah. So I have a buddy. His name is Lee. Super awesome, cool old guy. And when he retired, he was like, I'm really bored. I'm gonna go out and buy a $30,000 laser and just like fuck around in my garage. And he makes this amazing stuff. But when I think of a laser engraver, I don't think of a laser cutter. I don't think
Yeah.
of, and it really is.
Yeah, they're the
Yeah.
same thing.
He
Yeah.
makes amazing wood, like he does amazing woodworking with this thing, and he made this little jewelry box that was tiny,
Mhm.
and it had like all little dovetailed joints and everything like that.
jeez.
That I mean, he's got time, but it was tiny. They were tiny little joints and I was like, how the fuck did you do that? I'm like thinking on a scroll saw.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. But yeah, so I did it with this little laser
Sure.
engraver,
Yeah.
which, so you're gonna have one of those here.
Yeah, and they're decently user friendly. Like, it's a little bit of a learning curve if you don't know how to use like Illustrator and stuff like that.
Right.
But my background is an artist, and I use Illustrator every day, so I'm able to take a file in a matter of minutes, like just create something, send it to laser, and then start engraving.
That's pretty awesome. And then what about, okay, so that was one thing.
Yep.
I already know about the CNC router, which is pretty exciting. Obviously, you guys haven't quite figured out how that works, but that's a pretty awesome tool as well. I know you have the panel saw. That's the reason that we're doing this interview today. I was at Bargains on 7th the other day, and I just was walking in my car, and then I walked past, and there was a panel saw in here, and I said, "What the fuck? Where the fuck did that come from?" And then I was like, "What's this Maker's space thing?" And anyway, so that's where I started. And I Googled, started looking, and I was like, "Oh, these guys were in the contest," and then I don't know what that is, and then lo and behold, I found out that your mom worked with me.
Yeah.
So, and then that's how we ended up.
Got the mom hookup.
Got the mom hookup. Yeah.
Thanks, Mom.
So, okay, so we got those things out of the way.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, if you don't know what a panel saw is, they're really cool. It's basically think about it like a upright table saw, or like a sliding skill saw.
Yeah,
But
Home Depot and Menards have them a lot in the back.
Yeah. If you ever go to, and actually, that's where I first got introduced to them, was at Home Depot. I had to cut a bunch of ceiling tiles out of hardboard, and I was there, and I was like, man, this thing's fucking sweet.
Yeah.
So I went and built one.
Oh, really?
Why wouldn't you? Yeah. I would have.
You build ours, probably would.
Oh, no, dude.
No, never again.
Well, actually, honestly, it was very cool,
Yeah.
but it wasn't worth the space.
Yeah.
Sure.
It took up a lot of space. And but what I built it out of was a old garage door, right?
Sweet.
So I took the rails off the garage door,
sure.
and then with the rollers, and then I had that on I got this off YouTube. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like looking into, make your own, and but it had a pulley, and it cut nice and square and great,
Nice.
but it just was like not
Just gigantic.
It was big, yeah. And I was
Yeah.
like, my shop space is limited. I'll
Yep.
just pull this apart, and I can always put it back together if I need it.
Smart.
And then I learned a trick about taking a piece of. I got this from the same guy, from Lee, the fucking old dude. But I was talking about my panel saw and how I'm just taking it apart one day, and he's like, yeah, I don't really have any use for that. I'm like, yeah, it's such a pain in the butt to cut it on a table saw or a skill saw and whatever. And he's like, what I do is I take a piece of that pink foam, the dense foam, and then I throw my plywood on top of that, and then I snap down my, whatever that thing's called, the thing that your
ruler,
saw, the ruler that your saw locks into.
They were just buying one of those.
Yep.
That's fucking slicker than shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we're debating on we should have just did that.
Instead of the panel saw.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
But if you
super
need
big.
to cut
Yeah.
a shit pile
Yeah.
of things exactly the same,
Yeah.
the panel saw is beautiful.
And it'd be nice for members too. It's a little bit more safe.
Yeah, it's safer.
And it's safe.
Yeah.
Yep. It's hard to cut. It's actually pretty damn safe. It's
Yeah.
pretty hard to cut.
Yeah,
You'd have to try
you
hard
you
to
have to
cut
shove
your
your hand
out.
in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I will at some point, but
Yeah.
you're like, hey, we're not going to approve his application.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else?
Basically all your general woodworking equipment, like bandsaw, table saw, scroll saw, saw.
Yep.
Miter saw,
Yeah, miter, all of that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
And then drill presses.
sanding tables.
That's interesting. Okay, I saw that you have a really pretty decent, whatever you call it, a dust collector.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
back
yes.
there.
Yeah.
Though, I noticed you don't have a cyclone on it. Have you looked into that at all?
Oh yeah, like the dust deputies and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So typically you'd use those. You could use those before the dust collector, but I
Right.
think we'll get those for shop vacs.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So we'll have shop vacs in some spots, and then that dust collector we just tried using for the first time, and it some reason doesn't have as much suction power as I would think, because I bring it down to just like a 2-inch hose, and it loses all its suction. So anybody knows why that is happening?
Interesting.
It's kind of weird.
Huh.
And there's
Yeah.
no air leaks that I can find.
Huh.
But
Yeah,
yeah, we have a
nothing.
lot to learn, and there's a lot of stuff we don't know. We're not wood masters by any means.
So let me get this straight. You guys actually don't know what the fuck you're doing, and you decided to build a
Yeah.
place for people that. Yeah. Well, hey.
Yeah.
That's usually how you start all businesses,
Yeah.
right?
that's the only
normal, right?
that's the only business plan
Yeah.
I've ever had. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just wing it. Let's see what happens. I mean, that's
Yeah. Yeah. When I started my first business I was 24 years old, and I was sick of my job, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to just start a coffee shop. I liked coffee.
I drink coffee.
That was
Work.
drinking
That
it.
was my entirety of my experience. And so
Awesome, though.
I maxed out all my credit cards and started a coffee shop. So,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Go
always
for it.
works. I mean, me and Chris have actually been friends since like 3rd grade.
Okay.
And we've always done. We've built random stuff and
Skate ramps, lots of
made music and played video games, and I've always
Cool.
done stuff like that. So we always have. I mean, that's another thing about the Makerspace. Just getting people to the passion to like learn and try to understand stuff is a big thing. Because you don't have. I mean, you're gonna, like us. We're gonna make mistakes. We're gonna do things wrong, but it's just getting used to that and then trying to learn and getting better. And I
Right.
mean, you don't remember your times where you're successful. You remember when you mess up.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And to
but-
steal a line from Planet Fitness, it's a no judgment zone. But yeah, that's
you
the
go.
goal. All skill level makers, we want people to get in here and experiment on a tool for the first time, and
Right.
have someone to walk them through it. Like, why is this happening, and just having the community around them to help them do
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I am really into woodworking. I have
Yeah.
been, for on most of my life. And I have a shop and whatever, but I have a big, woodworkers,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so like I have a big group, and people are talking about this. Like every woodworker friend of mine, I'm like, hey, you guys heard about that? And oh yeah, I saw
cool.
it. I can't wait.
That's cool.
So there are people talking about it.
Good.
But hopefully we can get some people who know what they're, know some stuff that can come and help you guys
Yeah,
out.
definitely. I mean, we're not complete amateurs, but
Right.
there's a lot of stuff that, like, this guy at Home Depot is saying, putting copper tape up in the tube to prevent an explosion. Like, whoa,
On our CNC and stuff.
didn't know
for-
that. Like,
You'd think they'd
Right.
put that in the manual.
yeah,
Right.
I didn't read anything about explosions.
Huh.
But
Crazy.
yeah,
So we kind of jumped forward, but talking about this contest that you guys placed in, you guys ended up coming in 3rd place, right?
I would say second.
Second
Oh,
or
But
third.
they
They
didn't
didn't
really.
they
They
didn't
didn't
say.
declare.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. But you didn't win.
No.
No.
And if you win, there's a big chunk of money or
That's
something.
what the common misconception was. Everyone thought that you just get like a briefcase of cold hard cash, but it really was like in-kind services from different businesses. Like Deluxe Branding, I think for first place they got $20,000 package for marketing, website, and just random marketing stuff like that. Accounting firm would give you like $1,000 worth of services.
Yep.
Okay.
High Tech was one of them. I mean,
yeah.
it was so it really wasn't like we got $35,000 in cash. I mean, it's just services. So we still needed to go get funding to actually purchase stuff and do stuff like that.
So you guys in 2nd or 3rd place,
Yep.
you guys got similar stuff in kind donations, but not the big,
Yeah.
the big.
So it was
just not that-
$35,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a chunk of money,
Yeah.
but
It
it's
still
not
helped.
actual cash.
No.
You
No.
couldn't just go, like, you can't buy a table saw with in-kind donations.
No. Although one of the better ones that were closer to cash was Builder's First Choice. We got $1,000 worth of credit for them for building
okay.
materials, which worked for us for wood and stuff like
Yep.
that. So that
Okay.
was direct access to cash basically for us because it was stuff we
Right,
needed.
because you're going to buy it.
Yeah.
You're going to spend cash on it one way or the
Yeah.
other.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
So then, how did you do it? If you like that doesn't how you guys have a lot of shit here, and it's not cheap shit.
Yeah, shout
No.
out to Entrepreneurship Fund.
Yep.
They're a great resource. They work with you on getting loans and
Okay.
fairly low collateral. We basically threw everything we had at this, but they give you a lot of access to, like when you get a loan through them, they give you like $1,500 credit to go to these classes. They want you to succeed so you
Oh,
can
for
pay
sure.
them back. It's
Yeah.
kind of smart. Like
Yeah,
they help
yeah.
these guys pay us back. And then there's other various resources through the Chamber of Commerce and Blade Act and stuff like that.
Okay.
So
But you basically you financed it.
Oh yeah.
So you got a
Exactly.
big chunk. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, then you guys got to make this work.
Yeah. I mean, it's
We're gonna.
You
we're
know,
gonna-
there's something to be said about that, though, because if you don't have any skin in the game, and if you were to just get a chunk of money, a big grant, and they were, go, whatever, I mean, it takes a little bit of the impetus out of actually trying to make it work,
No, exactly.
Not to say that people who get grants and have, nonprofits and so on and so forth don't work really, 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 really fucking hard.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
there is something about, there's something kind of liberating about having all of your chips in the middle.
Oh yeah.
Because then failure becomes it's still an option, guys. By the way.
Oh, yeah,
I
definitely.
know for sure. I failed a couple times, but it makes failure have a lot more consequences. So
Yeah.
when you're like, oh, I'm tired, you're like, well, but I also would like to eat
Yep.
at some point.
Gotta pay mortgage and bills. Yep.
Yeah.
No,
So-
I mean that's one good thing about it is that you have that fire under your ass to constantly push you and do stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm really excited for you guys. I think this is going to be fucking great. I think that I love the idea and the model,
Yeah.
and I think, and to me, $100 a month seems like a reasonable amount of money, especially to have access to some of the cool ass tools that you have. And really, $50 a month is like 20. I mean, that's cheap as hell, and 20 hours is a lot of time.
Yeah. And
Like
so
that- I think
subject to
that-
change, maybe.
Okay, yeah, I get it. But I
Yeah.
like. But the thing is I can see like people who don't have their own shop.
Yeah.
The $100 a month, you're not gonna touch a shop
Yeah.
for that.
For $100.
I mean,
no.
well, you can't. You're not gonna hit you're not gonna hit your air purifier, but
Yeah.
if you but somebody who has their own shop but doesn't have access to some of the tools that you guys have,
Yeah.
like the laser engraver, the 3D printer, whatever, that might be an option for them, like a little more realistic, or I just can't see anybody who has their own shop not wanting
Yeah.
to have access to some of the cool tools that you have. And $50 a month, believe me, we spend it on fucking
yeah.
saw blades and shit.
Wood
Yeah.
glue.
Okay, another question I have is materials.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Oh, yeah.
there's materials involved. So if like, how does that work?
Yeah. So one nice thing about the builder's first choice being right downtown here, we're actually kind of working with them on working out a deal to where they would deliver materials here,
Nice.
since we're only like 2 blocks away.
Okay.
Because obviously we don't have a whole lot of space to hold wood here.
Right. You can't. That's what I was like. Where are you going to put your wood racks? And then how do you do that?
Yeah. So
Because
shallow wood racks, that bare minimum. We'll have a lot of the basic stuff on stock, in stock, and then maybe specialty stuff. If you didn't know where to get it, then they could talk to us or something. We could order it in and
Right.
get it for them.
But I mean, like, okay, so I walk in and
Yeah.
I got my membership, and I want to make a table, right? So I'm like, okay, well, now, do I buy wood? Do I buy the wood from you guys? Is that how that works?
I mean, you could bring your own wood. We have a door in the back of our workshop where it would be easy access to come right in, right to the panel saw.
Okay.
But I mean, definitely we want to be competitive in pricing, but we're obviously not going to get the good deals that everyone else is getting on bulk wood. So we're
Mm.
gonna, there's gonna be a convenience fee there,
Right.
and then we'll have like hardware and stuff too.
Yeah.
Like screws and,
So-
and so on. And
Yeah,
so
the
forth.
main thing that we'll have is, I mean, we've all been deep in a project, and then you don't have like a particular bolt or a particular screw or something,
Yeah.
and then you have to walk away and go to the store and go buy something. So we're gonna have basic stuff that'll be here to keep people going. But I mean,
Okay.
yeah, if they want to build cabinets and stuff like that, then they should probably bring in their own stuff.
Right.
I mean, or they can go through us and then we go through.
Right, or it'll
builders
be
something like
less
that.
expensive for them to bring in their own stuff.
Yeah,
anyway.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. For sure. Very cool. Yeah, and then like even what about like the 3D printing? Because there's
Yep.
going to be. I mean, there's costs involved in that.
So yeah, we're gonna have filament here and stuff like that. I mean, we'll have like basic stuff that people can buy and filament. We still haven't really decided how we're gonna charge for it, because I mean you buy like a $20 roll of it, and you can print quite a lot with it, and it's
I know
cheap.
there's like calculators on software
on the
that
software.
will tell you how
but
much
you're gonna
you
charge
use
someone
per-
25
Yeah.
cents. I mean, it's
So
just,
is that's kind of the thing? Is that it's? I mean, so one of the best like business lessons I think I ever got was from John Taffert. You guys know who that is? He did the show Bar Rescue on Spike TV a while ago. Anyway, but he's like this crazy kind of, it's kind of like any of those fucking shows, where you got the kind of the asshole business guy who like, knows everything.
Kind of
he's the Gordon
Ramsay,
he's the Gordon Ramsay. He's like the
Okay.
bartending Gordon Ramsay.
Cool.
And he'd come into these failing bars and then basically tell them how stupid they were, and then like fix them, and then they would do great. Right? That was their shitty show.
Sure.
But it actually, at the time when it was coming out, I was starting a bar. It was a Sunshine Kitchen Moonshine Lounge. You guys are too young to ever drink there. It's been a while. But now it's a 2 and 8.
So really?
So I had the bar that was there before that. It was closed for a little while in between two. Anyway, but John Taffert, I actually went to a seminar in Chicago with him, and one of the things that he like really drove home in that seminar, which by the way was a total waste of money, other than this, was to not be penny wise and dollar stupid.
Okay.
And I'm not giving you any advice on what you need to do in that specific circumstance.
Yeah.
But the idea is, if you, it's pretty easy to nickel and dime yourself. Like when people say don't nickel and dime yourself out of business, a lot of times what they mean is make sure you're not like giving away shit here and giving away shit here. But on the other side of that, if you're spending all this time and energy chasing pennies,
managing it, and
you
stuff
really
like
need,
that,
you should be looking at dollars. So
Sure.
however you figure that out, maybe, and I'm just spitballing here, that maybe maybe certain tools might have to have in addition to your membership a small fee that covers your material cost.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I mean, a couple bucks is going to cover your material cost always, and then some. For each set, so maybe it costs you $2 to print.
Sure.
Yeah.
On a 3D thing, but you have access to a 3D printer, which you don't have access to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Whatever, something to that extent. What are you going to do with all the scrap?
That's a great
Have you
question.
figured that out?
Make stuff.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
it
we'll
can.
no,
But
it's gonna pile up
but
fast.
I know personally,
Yeah.
even in my wood shop, and I have a problem.
Yeah.
Like it's not a very big piece.
Yeah.
But it definitely
You
has.
might use it.
I
I'm
might
gonna
use
use
it,
that in like a
and
week
then
or
I
two.
end up with piles upon piles of just really unusable scrap.
We started a little pile behind you already.
Yeah, it was like that. Yeah, but so you don't have really a plan for that?
I know there's various different options. There's ways to dispose of, I think, like shred it or whatever, I guess. But yeah, I guess we haven't really looked into that too far. Do you
Just have a
suggestions?
general like pile of people that can pull stuff out of. I mean,
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I know the
Keep it
guys
within.
at the. I can't remember what it's called. But it's hardwood, or whatever it is. What the heck is that?
door place?
I
I know
don't-
what you're talking about. It's
But it
over
has
by
a bin.
yesterday's.
They have a
Yeah.
bin sitting
Yeah.
outside, and it says free wood looking for a good home, and I go over there all the time.
I was gonna say we're gonna be raiding that, but
I
we'll
find
try.
it. Yeah. Well, you can right away. It's
We'll take it all.
But yeah, it's amazing. Like I found some really nice, not huge, but nice strips of mahogany in there.
Oh,
And I was
dang.
like, oh, shit, I'll take
Yeah.
those. I
That's
don't know what I need it for, but I definitely need it.
Add it to
Yeah.
my
so you
pile.
didn't take in other people's scraps in.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
you know it's a problem when you do start getting there.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, we'll definitely have like a box that right behind our workshop space. There's actually like a concrete slab, and depending on what the landlord says, we kind of spoke with him a little bit about building like a woodshed kind of thing for inventory as well to put back there.
That would be interesting.
So maybe we could just keep a box back there with free wood for members to go outside and grab some. 'Cause it is
Right. So
protected.
if it's scrap, or if
Yeah.
it's not, it's free wood because
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
I mean you need 2 foot of a 2x4.
Yeah.
It's like shit. I got to go buy a 2x4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
so we'd give that away for free.
So, what's our goal here? When are we opening up?
Yeah.
When is my fucking key card gonna work? That's what I'm asking.
Mid-March is kind of the goal to have a soft opening.
Okay.
And then we're going to go to that Everything Expo and start pitching like a grand opening date, probably more in April, mid-April. But it should, we're open to getting memberships going mid-March.
Okay.
That's the goal.
Okay. Very cool. How do people find you?
Sure. I mean, our website is mnmakerspace.com, or our social media is just Minnesota Makerspace for our Facebook, and then we do have an Instagram, but obviously there's not a lot of info. It's more just pictures and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. And on our website, we're kind of working on getting the membership subscription as like a item that you can purchase on there. So there's some fine tweaking that we have to do to get, all the logistics on the back end figured out for that. But I even posted on Facebook this week that will be coming soon. So
Okay.
the plan is to get subscriptions, and we'll do like an early bird subscription, like a little discount for people that sign up before we're open.
Cool.
So we'll be pitching that.
So speaking of your website, it's really well done. Looks great.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
And you the logo and everything, is that you? Or is that you guys?
I'm a graphic designer, so I did a lot of the branding and all that stuff. But Trevor's helped a lot too with the website and the back end logistics, the technology aspect.
Dude, it's really pro. Like, it looks fucking great.
Well,
And that was my first impression, was because I looked through the window and I saw the cool banner thing.
Oh yeah.
And then I saw the cool saw, and I was like, I like these guys. And then I went on the website and I was like, holy shit, this must be. I thought, oh, this must be like a big corporation coming in to do it, or something like that. Was my first impression. And then I started reading about you guys. I was like, oh no, these are just local boys.
Some youngins.
Yeah. And then I learned about the thing. Do you guys know anything about Sprout MN? Sprout. It's in Little Falls. It's in the old Crestliner building, and they have a makers market. They have the growers and makers market.
Yeah,
I've heard of this.
I've been there once.
Yeah.
I've gone into it.
I think you guys should try to. Well, I don't know that you necessarily need to be there, but it wouldn't be a bad idea. But you don't necessarily have anything to, because most of the people that are there selling their made goods.
Okay.
Okay. And it's everything from cutting boards to birdhouses to like jams and jellies and so on and so forth. But it's a place where a lot of people who are into making stuff go.
Okay.
And it's a really cool place. So, I mean, it's really cool. Because they got like they took over this old warehouse. So it's the old Crestliner building warehouse, and then they built in this huge kitchen and everything two commercial kitchens.
Sweet.
They have, refrigerator, freezers, all that stuff. And they do a lot of things. They have a local food hub or whatever. But I thought specifically what would be a good pairing with you guys is their makers market. And I think you could, definitely hopefully get some recruits to do it.
Where's this at?
It's in Little Falls. It's at the old Crestliners building. Yep. And their website is sproutmn.org or .com, either one. It goes to the same place, but they are a nonprofit, but it's just a cool organization. I've kind of been working with them ever since they first started out doing. I was telling Travis or Trevor.
Trevor.
God damn it!
Everyone, literally, it's been my life. People call me Travis. My grandpa called me Travis a few times.
I was really gonna try not to fuck that up, but
it's fine.
About that, like, I used to do video production quite a bit back in the day, and that's how I originally got involved with that organization, was doing some video production projects for them, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Sweet.
Awesome. Well, probably, I don't know about the last thing. I always say that, and then there's 5 more. But you were saying that that graphic design is your background, and then I don't think we mentioned it on here, but you're also going to have some apparel making and other type of.
Oh yeah. So in the workspace, since my background is apparel, I couldn't help it but suggest that we get a plotter cutter to do some vinyl for heat pressing t-shirts, like you're talking about. You could do with the Cricut. Basically, we'll have a bigger, wider version of that, so you do bigger graphics.
Why the fuck did I just buy that thing then?
Yeah. Go return it. You have some time. But basically, then you could do like sign graphics too, because you can get that sticky wall adhesive, and so you can make.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So you can make some big ones.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that it's gonna be great.
Yeah, and then also you could use the laser to do patches, and then put like a backing on the patches and heat press your.
Explain
own hats.
that. Explain that. What you use the laser to? What do you?
So you can get faux leather, and then you'd use a laser to make your patch, and then there'd be backing on the leather you have to put on before it, and then it's just a heat press.
Huh.
It's kind of a pain in the ass to put it on hats because it moves around and stuff, but I mean t-shirts or whatever, we'll be able to do it. So just get people in that realm, and then I don't know if I can't remember if we were talking about the whole make it space thing. We kind of have this.
It's a future endeavor.
Yeah.
Is doing like a technology space. So instead of the workshop that we're gonna have, we have like a tech space, and it'd be the make it space. IT, where we would have programming more like electronics and circuitries and stuff like that. Programming and stuff like that, more tech stuff. I mean, we wanted to do that because my background is in that, and I really enjoy that stuff. Yep. But the upfront cost, obviously, is almost through the roof when you do stuff like that.
And that's what we're talking about. Even though we're a for-profit, there's still ways to go with grants, and there's companies that could work with us on getting grants to like smart rural development kind of stuff like that. And that's where once we got that space, I would teach like art classes and stuff like branding and packaging and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Man, I think spitballing could use some help on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Well, that's awesome. Anything else you guys could think of you want to talk about?
I think that's about it. Just basically, if anybody is interested in being a teacher, we definitely want them to reach out to us through our website.
Yeah, I know so many awesome makers out there. I have a buddy that we're gonna collaborate because I still whack steel around every once in a while, and he's gonna make. But I don't enjoy doing the handles, right?
Okay.
I don't know why. It's not different. I like to do different shit. But he's gonna make some knife handles for me. But
cool.
But that would be a kind of a fun one to do too, because you can buy a really decent knife blank for $25-$30.
Yeah.
And then it's just a matter of like how to do that handle. So I think that would be cool.
You can laser engrave it.
You can laser
everything.
Can you laser engrave the steel?
You could it's called like Ceramark, so you could mark it, but you spray it down with this kind of looks like a spray paint can, and then wherever you laser it turns black, and then you wipe the rest away.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah. We used to do something like that, but this was again back in the day, but it was called acid etching, where you'd cover the entire blade with this like rubber cement, essentially snot, and then you would carve out the whatever design you were doing by hand, and then you dunk it in acid. So it's got to be pretty similar to that. Yeah. So the laser the shit that you put on it must
adheres to it.
So it like becomes. Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's what I wish I had. He got me a Leatherman for like for best man present basically. But Leatherman, that's what they do is the Ceramark.
Oh, it's right there. Look at that. Oh, okay. So that's fucking great. So that's, I don't know if you guys can see that. Probably not, but that's okay.
Lasers.
Yeah, it's really cool. Awesome.
Yeah, it's super clean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think you guys got it going on here. I was excited about it when I first saw it. I'm more excited about it now. I think that the idea is fantastic. I think you guys seem pretty cool. I can't wait to play with some of your toys. That's really what I'm about. So yeah, I think it's gonna be great.
Let's play with some toys together.
All right, let's do it. Well, that's it for this week. Thank you guys for coming on, and we will see you guys next time.
Thanks.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning into the podcast today. I had a lot of fun talking with Kruse and Trevor. I think those guys actually have a really cool thing going on. It was kind of a bummer that Kyle couldn't be there this time, but then again, Kyle really isn't into woodworking, and I can just see his eyes rolling back in his head as we sat there and talked about CNC machines and panel saws, much like mine did when he and Craig Bensky geeked out about boxing and comic books. But before I take you out today, I was hoping you would indulge me and let me tell you a little story. For those of you watching on YouTube, I'm sorry, this is audio only. But just close your eyes and listen. I mean, unless you're driving. Then keep your fucking eyes on the road and stop watching YouTube videos while you drive. You fucking dum-dum. So this story starts with a book. I've read, and in more recent years, listened to a lot of books. I try to put a number on it, but honestly, I just have no idea. Maybe 1,000, probably more. In all that time, I've enjoyed some really fantastic books as well as endured some real turds. But if you were to ask me, Matt, what's the most important book you've ever read? Not the best book, mind you, but the most important one. The book that changed the way you see yourself and the way you see the world. Well, the answer to that question is actually two books. The first one I read as a young man, maybe 24 or 25, and yes, this one I actually read, turned pages and all of that. The book was called Ishmael by Daniel Quinn. And it's really hard to describe what that book was about. But in a nutshell, it was about a dude having a conversation with a gorilla. And I know that sounds crazy, right? But it was fucking crazy. And the book blew my mind. I've read it, I don't even know how many times, and I kept buying copies of it to give to people that I thought would grok it. So I used to always say there was my life before Ishmael, and then there was my life after Ishmael. Seriously, you have to read that fucking book. Okay, let's fast forward a couple of decades. So this is late 2016. And by this time, I had graduated from the written word to the spoken word. I'd finally joined Audible a few months before, and I was absolutely fucking loving it. And I know there are a lot of haters out there for audiobooks, and well, you can fucking blow me. I love listening to books, podcasts, shit, I even listen to fucking YouTube videos. I put my jawbones in and I just go about doing whatever I want to do. The whole time I have someone speaking right into my head, and I love it. Anyway, I was pretty new to Audible at the time, and I didn't really know what to listen to, but I ran across a book by Nick Offerman called Paddle Your Own Canoe. Now, Nick is the actor who played Ron Swanson in Parks and Rec, and I fucking loved Parks and Rec. And a lot of it had to do with that mustachio motherfucker. So I figured, fuck it, I'd just give it a listen. It was great. Ron narrated it himself, and it was pretty much the story of how he got started in the industry. It was funny and it was engaging, and I wanted more right away. And the very next book that I listened to, I don't know, it was 3 days later, was a book called Gumption. And that was another Nick Offerman extravaganza. I listened to this short, 12-hour tome in one day. I'm telling you, my house has never been so clean. But then I ran out of credits. At the time, as I said, I was kind of a novice at Audible, and I had to wait a month for my next credits to show up. These days, I just buy more credits. I buy a lot of fucking credits. It's actually an addiction, and it's one I have no intention of quitting. So this brings us to December of 2016. It was actually Christmas Eve. As most of you probably know, I'm not much of what you would call a festive fellow. For years now, it was my tradition to do something on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, something that would keep me far away from other people and their fucking holiday cheer. This year, 2016, I was going to make a barn. I mean, it was a little barn, but it was still a fucking barn. I'd gotten a commission from Sprout, Minnesota. It's a cool little local food hub located in Little Falls to build them basically like a video booth for their growers and makers market. It's a really long story, and I don't want to get into the minutia, but suffices to say, I needed to build them a small fish house. And I felt inspired, so I decided to make this fish house look like a barn. I went as far as to make it from reclaimed barnwood, and I even added a goddamn cupola. Okay, shit, this story is actually getting pretty long, and let me just try to get to the point. So I got Nick Offerman's newest book to listen to for that project. The book was called Good, Clean Fun, Misadventures in Sawdust at the Offerman Workshop. And much like Ishmael, I now say there was my life before Good, Clean Fun, and there was my life after Good, Clean Fun. Oh, wait, stop. Now, don't just go run out and get this book. I mean, go ahead if you want to, but I don't think you're going to get from it what I got from it. The book, once again, narrated by the man himself, is the story of how he got into woodworking and his heroes in the world of craftsmen. But if you could just for a second put yourself in my shoes. At that moment, there I was. It was 5 a.m. Christmas morning, and I'm balls deep into a project that I was sure that I was now going to net a solid $3.50 an hour if I was lucky, and that was only if I could stop myself from adding a weather vane to the top of the fucking cupola, and I knew full well that I wasn't going to be able to do that. And at that moment, there was this man talking in my head, and he was talking with true passion about something that I had always been passionate about, woodworking. And then he was talking about how every woodworker needs a shop. So I looked around, and I was standing in the middle of a construction zone. It wasn't being used on Christmas, and it was the only heated space I could find that was big enough to do my project. And my tools were just scattered everywhere. I had never had a real shop, and I haven't even really had a heated garage in my adult life. And Nick, and there was Nick in all of his glory, telling me to get a shop. Okay, at the time, I might have been a little drunk, and I was definitely sleep deprived, but as I put the final touches on the rooster, who was going to stand proudly atop the tiny little barn, ready to tell anyone who cared which way the wind was blowing, I made a decision. I made the decision to get myself a goddamn shop. In February of 2017, I got the keys to my shop, and it wasn't much. It was really a dump. It was 40 by 60. It had been gutted out. There was no heat. The pipes were frozen. And I got to tell you guys, it was the best decision that I've ever made. Now, I know this isn't like a realistic scenario for everybody. I mean, shops are expensive even when they're fucking cheap dumps. But if having a place to create has always been a latent dream of yours, and you don't have the means to get your own shop, then I really suggest you take a look at these kids. Dude, I have my own shop, and having access to some of these fucking tools and equipment for the price that they're offering, it's a no-brainer. I mean, are there drawbacks? Sure. I mean, I can't be running a table saw at 3 a.m., half in the bag, wearing nothing but MeUndies. But then again, is that really a drawback? All right, guys, that's my story. Thanks for sticking with me. I had a hard time coming up with appropriate woodworking music for this episode, but here's another one from the new Merzik album called Shine On. It's merzikband.com. Get this album.
Take a walk around, looking up and down at all the pretty hearts in the vine. You can smell it here. It reeks of fire and fear. Why don't we take a little step inside? In the light,
In the light,
in the night,
in the night,
in the light, we'll shine like a golden star. Let me give you a kiss from my sweet upper lip. Let me take you far from here. You'll be next to me. You'll be all I see. Let me take a little step inside. In the light,
in the light,
in the night,
in the night,
in the